You're listening to the Traffic and Conversion Show. I'm your host, Michelle Fernandez, and I have a question for you. Are your Facebook ads stuck in Learning Limited? Well, Facebook's Learning Limited can certainly worsen your results because Learning Limited means that your ad sets did not exit the learning phase. And a lot of advertisers want to get out of Learning Limited as fast as possible. Well, today I am sharing how the heck to get out of it. And do you really need to? So stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back to the show. So do you ever log into Ads Manager and say like, why does it keep saying Learning Limited? How the heck do I get rid of that, right? You might even be asking yourself like, what the heck Learning Limited is anyways, right? Well, Learning Limited is an indication that Facebook provides that's basically saying that your ad set has not generated enough data in order to optimize that ad set. So Facebook will keep your campaign in this learning limited mode because it's looking to receive around 50 optimization events per week per ad set. So what is an optimization event? Well, if you're running, let's say, a traffic campaign, it could be like link click, right? Or landing page view. If you're running video views, then you're optimizing for through plays, right? You're most likely seeing Learning Limited on your conversion campaigns when you optimize for a lead, a complete registration, or a sale, right? So to get that many link clicks or video views is way easier than it is to get 50 leads or sales every week per ad set. So that's the reason that you're seeing it more when you're optimizing, let's say, for purchases, because most people aren't getting 50 sales a week, right? So you can run campaigns that are in Learning Limited depending on the business that you're running. So let's say you're running a higher ticket item, right? You may not get or want 50 sales a week per ad set, right? So really when you're looking at this, prioritize your business's objective over Facebook's delivery system, right? So if it makes sense for your business to get 10 to 20 sales a week, then you're good, right? If you're getting a good cost per lead, something that you can live with, something that you're still profitable on, stay in Learning Limited, okay? I mean, a campaign that shows active versus Learning Limited is usually going to perform better, okay? So I did want to say that. However, this is not the end of the world, okay? So how do we troubleshoot this? Well, Facebook recommends several ways to get out of it, all right? So this is where we're looking at, okay, what does Facebook advise us versus what do we know as a marketer, how we need to test and learn certain things, okay? So I'm going to go through with you what Facebook recommends, and then we'll kind of talk about the pros and cons. Make sense? Okay, so Facebook recommends that you combine the ad sets and possibly the campaigns. So what does that mean? Usually when you start out, you have maybe different ad sets because remember your ad sets are where you have who you're targeting and where the placement is, right? So look at those audiences. How large are they? And could you combine multiple audiences or multiple ad sets together to create a larger pool and centralize that budget? So if your budget is at the ad set level, then it would basically be kind of lumping them all together, see what happens, okay? Now here's the thing, when you're in testing mode and you're testing your audiences, if you start out combining those audiences, then you're not gonna know which audiences are performing and which are not. So for example, you'll need to say like, okay, I'm going to create audience sizes of 1 million or 2 million or whatever at first. And I know that I might be put in Learning Limited. That's okay. Because now I'm going to see like, I might think that these audiences are going to kill it. And then you're going to see like, oh, I thought this was my audience, but it's not. I'm getting more conversions over here. Whereas if you lump them all together and you're going to get conversions, you're not going to know, like, are you kind of wasting your marketing dollars sending it to an audience that doesn't convert? Okay, so still think like a marketer, still think in your testing mode. And then once you've done your test, then maybe go back and lump them. Okay. So you're going to need to see if this is going to hurt you in the long run because you don't have the accurate data based on your current audiences. Okay. So go through that testing phase of your targeting, and then later you can combine. Okay, second thing, Facebook tells you to expand your audiences, right? So that's kind of an easy fix. You know, they have that little checkbox where you can expand the audiences. I'm not personally a fan of that. But again, that is a feature that you can use. What I personally like to do is maybe if I'm doing a lookalike audience and I'm doing 1%, then maybe I'll do 2% or 3%, right? To expand that lookalike audience. Maybe I would target more countries. So if I was just doing, let's say, US and Canada, then maybe I would extend it to the UK and Australia, right? Then I might even do a broader interest, right? Instead of being so niched, I might go a little bit broader to help expand the audience. Make sense? Okay, the other thing that Facebook tells you is to raise your budget. And if everybody could do this, that sounds like an immediate fix and something like, oh, that's so easy. Let me just go in there, right? However, it comes down to, is it in your budget that you can increase your budget, right? Can you afford it? Can you deliver it fulfillment wise? If you all of a sudden like toggled that, changed your budget and you just went, now you're getting all these purchases coming through, fulfillment wise, can you handle this? Right? So think about that. Are you ready to onboard all these people? Are you ready to fulfill somehow? Right? So even going through how to get out of learning limited, you also need to think like, am I still going to be profitable? Can I really do this? Okay. So this is where, when anything we're talking about budget, it's important that you know your numbers, right? So if you know what your cost per lead is, I'm just going to throw out random numbers. So let's say it's $5 a lead, okay? Or $5 a purchase, whatever you want to say. Let's just say leads, $5 a lead, and you need 50 leads. Let's say you have one ad set, 50 leads a week, right? So you do 5 times 50, that's 250, okay? So I know that every week I need to budget $250. Okay, so per day, if I divided that 250 by 7, that gives me $35 a day. So realistically, if you can figure out what those numbers are and you can do $35 a day, that could be an easy fix, right? However, we all know that sometimes it's not that easy, like one-to-one, right? So is that something that's doable for you in order to increase your budget? If you see that you're getting sales, you're just not quite making that 50, that could be an option, right? So what is that average cart value? What can you be doing on the back end to even increase so you're staying profitable? Okay. So my opinion is to raise your budget after you have tested and you're really looking to scale, not just to get out of learning limited. There's no point if you're making 1 sale a week thinking that you're going to increase that budget by whatever, that you're going to all of a sudden get 50. If you're not getting the conversions that you're looking for, may not be the smart thing to do. Okay. All right. The next thing that Facebook recommends is raising your bid or cost control, which is something to consider if you know what that means, right? I know most people running their own ads are not at this level, which is okay. So I'm just going to throw that out there. That's something that you can do if you want to look into it. That's not one of the things that I usually go to for that. So let me just dive into the last option that Facebook recommends, and that is to change your optimization event. So what would this mean? So if you're optimizing for purchases, look at your data. Again, we're looking at the data and see your numbers, right? So let's say you're getting 30 sales a week, 30 purchases, not the 50, but you're getting, I don't know, let's say you're getting 60 add to cart, okay? So the idea would be if I now go to add to cart and put add to cart as my conversion event rather than purchases, now I know that I'm going to be generating 50 add to cart because that would be the event that I am now optimizing for. Well, here's what happens when you do this. Facebook is now looking for people who aren't necessarily a buyer, but they're adding to cart. Therefore, your campaign will not be fully optimized because you're looking for buyers, right? So the idea behind this, if you wanted to test it, I'm not saying I recommend it, but if you had 50 add to cart, then you might get to 100, right? However, that doesn't mean that you're going to get that conversion of the add to cart to the purchases. Make sense? Now, if your numbers are actually showing that you have the conversion from add to cart to actually making a sale, might be something to consider. But remember, even though these are like how to troubleshoot, how to get out, like, is this something that we really want? No, you want the purchase. So you'll want to go after what you really want, and that is the purchase, right? So here's something else to consider that Facebook doesn't recommend on their website. However, think about this. Facebook has native features that might, and what these native features is, you're basically giving Facebook more control over your campaigns, right? So one of them is the campaign budget optimization, or CBO, if you've heard of it said that way, which allows Facebook to have more control over the budget across all of the ad sets in the campaigns. So that means if I have, let's say, 4 ad sets, so that's 4 different audiences. If I'm doing ad set budget, ABO, then I would have, let's say, $10 at each stage. So that would mean $10 would equally go to all the ad sets, because that's where the budget's at. If I move that $40 a day to campaign budget optimization, now I'm saying to Facebook, hey, here's 4 audiences to work for. You divide the budget how you feel it's necessary. So they do their thing, and the algorithm goes out and they find the people who are actually going to become a lead or a sale within those audience and distributes the budget accordingly. Okay. So that's another way that can help you get out of the learning limited, because Facebook is trying to help itself, okay? The other native thing that Facebook has is called dynamic creative, okay? So this is where Facebook has more control over what copy, what messaging, and what creative, like your videos, static images, carousels, whatever you're doing, headlines, descriptions, all the things. And then they kind of mix and match. It's like those granimals, right? They mix and match what they think someone is going to read or watch. So for example, if they notice, let's say my husband watches videos all day long in his feed, right? So they would deliver him the video, but maybe me, I don't really watch videos. So maybe they would deliver me a carousel or a static image. Make sense? So it's like they're doing and they're responding to based on the user's behavior. Okay. So again, that's another way for you to use their native features. So I've noticed that the campaigns that use Facebook's native feature will most likely like avoid you from getting in learning limited to begin with. However, I want you just to kind of think, if you walk away with anything, the learning limited that you're seeing may not be accurate, right? You might be actually getting purchases and it's not being reported to Facebook properly. I mean, how many times have you seen that where you log into your ads manager first and then you're like, oh my gosh, I spent $100 yesterday and I got 1 lead, right? But then you go into ClickFunnels or ConvertKit, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I actually got 20 yesterday, right? So sometimes the reporting is not accurate. So again, we're not just going to look at the data that's on the screen. We're actually going to measure it, evaluate it, and track it properly, what you're really seeing, okay? So the question to ask yourself is, are your results more expensive than normal? Are you even getting results, right? So if they are doing well and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm killing it, I know whatever it says in Facebook, I'm still profitable, I'm still getting this, I'm still getting leads, I'm still getting sales, leave them, okay? Don't worry about that. Just keep your eye on it and make sure you're tracking every day. Now, if you're not, then you may want to consider duplicating the campaign and start your data again, either with a higher budget or using the native campaign or anything else that we talked about today, okay? Now, learning limited is really not the end of the world. I know every time we log in and we see like these, hazard signs, warning signs, all that, it's like, what did I do? What did I touch? What's going on? What do I do? Just realize that there's not the end of the world. If you see it, there's no real reason to panic. All right. I hope this helps. And now you have some direction on what to do to get out of learning limited, to get into that active, if that's something that works for you. I appreciate you so much for being here with me today. If you like the show, I would love it so much if you leave me a review. All right, well, cheers to getting out of learning limited or not. Until next time, let's grow your business together.